Welcome to another episode of Inside a Millennials Mind podcast. I am Tyler Lawson. A little housekeeping before we get started. You can now find me in more than just one place. Obviously, you can find the blogs and podcasts on the website, insideamillennialsmind.com. You can also check me out on my YouTube channel, Inside a Millennials Mind, and I should pop right up. SoundCloud is where I've been putting all my podcasts. You can access those on the website, but you can also go to SoundCloud and search Inside a Millennials Mind. And you can now find me on iTunes and Stitcher, or your favorite podcast app. I use Pocket Casts on my phone, but you can just search Inside a Millennials Mind, and I should be the one with the same logo and picture. And it will automatically download the newest episodes to your phone so you can listen to them anywhere. Summer has come, and as a teacher, I now have some time off, which means I should be able to do more of these. I'm shooting for about one a week, so keep your eyes open, keep your social media eyes open, and look for the new ones that are being released hopefully once a week. I'm also looking to expand a little bit, so if you are interested in writing for the blog or even being a guest on the podcast, feel free to send me an email to insideamillennialsmind@gmail.com, or contact me on Twitter at Lawson for Prez with an S, Instagram Inside a Millennials Mind, and Facebook Inside a Millennials Mind. Please like, share anything you guys see or find useful on any of those social media outlets. Recent acts of terror and the resulting social media aftermath have gone ahead and pushed this podcast in between my two-part episode, Why I'm Angry and You Should Be Too. Hopefully that next one will be out in a week or so. Sorry for the busy schedule. End of the year as a teacher is just hectic, and therefore I did take a while off after making that part one. But part two is coming, so this one needed to be done, I felt like, and I will get on to finishing that next one rather soon. Well, let's get started. I'm not sure it needs to be said, but those that did lose loved ones in Manchester are in my thoughts. And as the world tries to move on and England tries to move on, we need to be empathetic towards them. And let's get into what this means. It's a very different world than when terrorist attacks happened 10 years ago, even a year ago. Now, with the new presidency of Trump, things are different. The aftermath of that tragedy is met with usual push for tougher borders and violence towards those responsible. ISIS, primarily. Which makes sense because we get scared and we want revenge against those who have harmed our loved ones, and revenge against those that are threatening our way of life. But we must remember that violence isn't always the key. And I know that sounds incredibly liberal, but violence does seem to be what the right wants at the moment. Especially after any kind of terrorist attack, it's always kill them. But we must keep in mind that what we're fighting against is not just people. What we're fighting against is an ideology. And ideologies do not disappear when you kill people. They don't run away from fear. Especially when we're discussing ISIS, jihadists, Islamists, and the radical side of Islam. Killing them might make you feel better, but it's not going to solve it's not going to be a solution to the problem. And I could not resist on social media that I did get into a little scuttlebutt with a family member over kind of the idea behind it, behind pride and nationalism, and how that rises up after one of these events occur. But destroying ISIS militarily and with force isn't going to get you anywhere. You're not just fighting people, you're fighting an ideology. And if you don't or aren't sure what Islamists and jihadists really think or believe, I highly recommend the podcast What Do Jihadists Really Want by Sam Harris on his Waking Up podcast, where all he does is take a excerpt from a newspaper, magazine, I think it's a magazine, that the Islamic State puts out, incredibly well written by educated people. And the main one he reads in that podcast is Why We Hate You and Why We Fight You. I didn't actually re-look that up, but I believe that is the name of the article that he reads from there. He reads two from that magazine, but that is the primary one. And it spells out that these people are in a win-win situation. If they can get a caliphate, if they can basically take over the world as Islamists and create an Islamic regime, they win. But if they die in trying to do so, they also think they win. Martyrdom and the belief of paradise is a real thing is a reality to these people. Well, especially the troop type people, maybe not the high ups and the leaders, but the ones that are doing all the legwork for these terrorist organizations. They actually believe that killing innocent people and children sends them to paradise, it as well as themselves. And so they think they're doing a good thing by killing children and by killing innocent people on the streets, while also making sure they have a place in paradise. So if they die, they win. If they succeed in taking over the world, they succeed. So you can't fight these people with violence. That it doesn't work. They just think they win. Now, I guess you could go ahead and try and kill everybody who's ever a part of it, been a part of it. You could try and kill everybody who's even thought about being radicalized. But you're talking mass genocide. You're talking having to try and keep tabs on billions of people, and it's just not a doable thing. So you have to be fighting the war of ideas. And the war of ideas at the moment is against Islam, the religion. The war of ideas in general is against religion as a whole. So what's the solution? right? Because fighting them is not going to work. And continuing to do military efforts on the ground in their homeland isn't seeming to make much of a difference, although we are shrinking at times some of their hold on some places. But the fight needs to change to reforming Islam and reforming Muslims and getting that community to assimilate with the Western world and see the value in what the Western world has to offer. That's where we have to go from here. It's not a one bullet in the chamber fix, and it's definitely not going to happen quickly. However, there are some very important people already working incredibly hard at this. Majid Nawaz, who was a former, if I remember correctly, he was part of an Islamic regime, and he was part of the recruitment side of it. In Egypt, he was jailed there for a while. He now resides in England as a radio host, as a author, as an intellectual who is trying to reform Muslims from the inside, from the inside their community. He's a Muslim himself. He's not taking what the Quran says literally. He's doing what modern day Christians did thousands of years ago. Thousands of years ago when they stopped killing and instead realized that they had to kind of assimilate with others to get anywhere. He's there as a Muslim, and he's trying his hardest to get that community to do the same. Ayan Hirsi Ali is another one. So if you're curious on either of these two people, they are amazing human beings, and they're working their tails off to try and find a solution here. So please support them. Look them up on Google. I know you can listen to Majid Nawaz's radio show live when it's airing over in England from online. So check them out. They're doing great. And obviously, Sam Harris has been trying, but he's been a little off of the religion for a while. He's been focusing more on politics, but he is still one of the leaders in this as well, alongside many others. So check out Sam Harris's podcast, but take away from this that as angry as you can be and as upset as you are that innocent people are dying and will continue to die from terrorist attacks, taking more of our own civilized people and sending them to try and destroy and kill in this kind of no mercy idea is only a short-term solution. At best, you're going to delay what the Islamic State has planned. They have made it incredibly clear that stopping would only be to gain more people and troops, and otherwise it's a non-stop relentless force that they are willing to die for, as they think it is a win-win no matter what happens. So it's gotta be, we have to fight the war of ideas. It's the only possible way to stop the tragedies that are happening around the world. And with that, it's a quick one today. If you have questions, comments, would like to discuss this more, feel free to get in contact with me in the ways that I said at the beginning of the podcast. And in a week or so, I should have part 2 of Why I'm Angry and You Should Be Too. So keep your eyes open for that. If you find this podcast useful, feel free to share it on any social media outlet you use. You can also go to www.insideofmillennialsmind.com/support to donate directly. Thank you for listening.
Run.